Brian.
And we are the bakers of thebakers.tv. And we are coming tonight, like we have the last 8 nights, and we are telling you a story about how God showed up in our lives. Why are we doing that, Bib?
Oh,
it's a quiz for you.
It's a quiz. So, here a week from tomorrow, we are flying out to San Antonio. Mm-hmm. Super excited. I've never been to Texas before, so that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
But more importantly, we're going to see Nicole Walters and Dave Ramsey and Christy Wright, and we're going to get to meet them, and we're going to get to meet some of our rich friends, and it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
So, life is awesome. That's going to be awesome. So we are sharing with you all sorts of awesomeness and the ways that God has shown up in our lives leading up to that trip.
Yeah, just reflecting on the blessings. So something that I've dealt with my whole life is anxiety and depression. And I think part of me didn't even know the anxiety part was there until recently. And I don't know if some of you guys out there have dealt with this. It's kind of a sensitive topic, especially if you're experiencing it. But what I wanted to share with you is how God showed up recently as I was working through that. And I know that some of you have already heard a little bit about this because it ties into a lot of our stories. But I'm sitting there, I'm looking in my email. I see that we have an email from the water department. And I'm like, okay, well, it's our quarterly bill, whatever. And I open it up and it's $825. And my jaw drops to the floor and I go into panic mode because we are just starting to like get our head like this much above water, not completely over water, above water, but just that much. And I'm like, how is this possible? And I go in, pissed off mode and then anxious mode, like that feeling that you get in your chest when you're like you're not taking full, even deep breaths, right? And you're just like, how could this be? And like you're texting feverishly to everybody, including your mom, because that's the first place that you tend to go to if, you have that person available or whoever that is for you. And you're like, oh my gosh, I'm freaking out. Like, how are we going to do this? Blah, 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 blah. Like literally that's what my mind's going. And then I get in a bad mood and then I get snippy with him. And so as I'm going through my emails, I see that. So like guards up, like attack mode right now, trying to figure out what's going on. And then imagine a couple days later after that, getting a letter in the mail saying that you owed like $1,500 from the previous tax year. When you just filed your taxes, got a small refund and put that towards more debt that you were trying to pay off. You're finally like, yes, we're finally getting somewhere, finally getting there. And then you get a bill in the mail for $1,500. And then instantly you go into, like, what is going on? Like freak out mode. Like, how are we going to do this? Like finances is a weakness for me when it comes to panic mode and anxiety, because I think it is for a lot of people, but when you're living very close to the margin, it happens that way, especially if you have student loans, which we're lucky enough to have. And so, I mean, it instantly hit up my anxiety again. And then a few days later, well, those two huge bills were swishing around in our heads and trying to figure out how we were going to make this happen. We realized we didn't file our regional income tax. And so I filed it thinking maybe we can get a refund. Turns out I wasn't withholding those taxes at all because we just moved here and didn't know what that was. And I owed another $800. So we owed like $3,200 all within a week that we had found out. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I was just completely done. Like I was on the phone with one of my really good friends and I was just bawling my ass out. I was like, what the hell have we done wrong? Like, where are you, God? We're doing everything we possibly can. I'm in like full panic mode, full, I don't know if you can visualize it. And some of you guys might even know how this feels, but like each one of those things was like a rabbit down a black hole. Like I could just feel myself going down and down and down and down. And like they're legitimate things that we are going through, right? And I always am like trying to figure out what I should have done differently. Like, why was God punishing us? I know that sometimes I know he doesn't work that way, but at the same time, like I might know it here, but I don't know here, And so I was just trying to figure that out, and I was getting really frustrated. And so we had this Lent prayer service that we were going to that night. And I really am not a huge fan of prayer services because I feel like it's just the opportunity for people to sound like hearing themselves pray and sound cool. Like, I'm not into that. So it makes me really uncomfortable. But we went to our church for the first time for a prayer service. That was the first prayer service that I think that they had. I don't know, maybe we missed it last year. And so we went, and one of the I think he's an elder, one of them, yeah, he came up and he's like, okay, so as I was preparing on what to say today, I just really felt like God was wanting me to say this particular, few statements to someone out there, and I'm not quite sure who it's for, but here we go. And so this is what he said. Dear son or daughter, surely I am with you. No weapon formed against you can prosper. No weapon forged against you will prevail. And you will refute every tongue that accuses you. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord, and this is their vindication from me. I am the great I am who looks over your life. Now go ahead and plead with me for my will. Of course, you know the outcome. You will indeed share and receive words of encouragement, and from yourself and as well as others. This is my plan, to ensure that everyone has a deep assurance that I am with you, and that I indeed still speak to my servants, for love and comfort, and also for warnings and direction. There is a war going on, and I want you to pray my will back to me. I want you to see yourselves as overcomers. As it is written, take heart, I have overcome the world. Love your father. And that really resonated with me. I felt like God had literally told this guy at our prayer service to say this, to tell me to see ourselves as overcomers, not to see ourselves as the people who always are on the downside of things, always waiting for that shoe to drop, which is a mentality that we've had to overcome. And I just was bawling. Like, I just had tears coming down my cheeks as he was reading that, because I knew that God had told him to say that specifically for me. And I know that there's other people out there that need to hear this too, that you need to see yourself as an overcomer, and that this is his plan to ensure that everyone has a deep assurance that he is with you. And when I've always had the hard distinction of figuring out, like, how much do I do? So how much do I need to do to be proactive, especially in this financial situation? How much are you asking me, Lord, to do? That you've given me the abilities, the brain power, I'm not stupid, to do. And then how much do I rely on you, right? Because we're not going to sit here and be like, oh, who has a budget? No one needs a budget. Like, just spend freely. It'll come back to us because God will take care. Like, where do you draw that line? And so I really felt through the next couple weeks after this was read to me, that he basically is saying, look, you do what you can do, and you do everything to the best of your ability. And then that's all I'm asking from you. I'm not asking you to be perfect. I'm not asking you to not make mistakes sometimes. I'm just asking you everything beyond of what your ability is to do. And you're just trying hard. Give me the rest. I will take care of the rest. Don't worry. That's not your job. And I think that I had to kind of buy in the fact that, like, I would make mistakes sometimes, but as long as I was trying my best, that he was okay with that. And I finally was able to be okay with that myself. And so I gave myself permission that as long as I was trying my best, to give him that worry and that anxiety. So every time I start feeling that anxiousness, and for those of you who deal with anxiety, where you feel the tightening of your chest and you feel like you can't take a deep breath and your thoughts are going, 1,000 miles a minute. that you just take a deep breath and you sigh and you tell God, like, I'm going to do my best. I'm going to do XYZ steps, like what I would need to do in order to resolve the situation. But then the rest is up to you, and I'm just giving it to you. And what we've been shown is that as we've done that, within 24 hours of us saying, God, this is yours. I can't do this. It's not on me. I've done everything I can. And I'm going to just give the worry and the stress and everything to you. And I'm not even kidding you. He has shown up within 24 hours every time. We were asking him for a sign for our business because we were feeling anxious about, where we're heading, if this was the right way to go, if we are supposed to continue doing the bakers in this sense. And because it's a lot of time, it's a lot of work, and it's something we're really passionate about, but we also want to make sure we're doing what God wants us to do. And we said, okay, God, if you want us to do this, like, just give us a sign. Have one of our courses sell within the next 24 hours to confirm that that you're here and that you're in this and that this is what you want us to pursue. Because I was feeling super anxious about it. Within 24 hours, I kid you not, as soon as we left that to him, we didn't do anything different advertising wise. We sold 7 courses within 24 hours. We did absolutely nothing different. God showed up. So I've noticed that every time that I start to release that, completely release it to him, do as much as I can, not in me trying to fix it way, but as in me needing to do like what I'm responsible for, what he's given me the resources for. And then just said, God, the rest is on you. You have to show up. I'm relying on you. He's shown up every single time. And knowing that and seeing that, yeah, that is awesome, Laura. Knowing that and seeing that has been huge, because now it's fostering me to give that more to him. So when I start to feel that feeling, I'm like, nope, I'm not dealing. I don't even have to. Like, I know that he's going to show up. So I just give that to him. And something that was said to me when I dealt with depression a lot when I was in college was, oh, well, it's because you're not close enough to God. That's why you're depressed, is that you're just not close enough to God. Your relationship with God isn't good enough. And so that's why you're suffering with that. And I really want to say that that's not the case. I know that there are a lot of things that medications can help with. However, I feel that even just mentally framing things and allowing yourself to have a different perspective can help a ton. I know that a lot of it can be chemical, and I was on antidepressants a little bit in college after my half sister passed away, but I know that a lot of it is perspective, and the more I deal with it, the more I realize that it's, what are you looking at when you're depressed or anxious? You literally are honing in on that one thing, and that's like literally all you can see when there's so much else going on. And the nice thing about it is the fact that if you believe in God and you give him the chance to take over that anxiety or that sadness that you have, he will slowly chip away at it and release you from it. Again, I'm not saying in every situation, but I'm just saying from my own personal experience, it has done wonders, and God has really been speaking to me lately in that regard. So I wanted to share that story because it's something I've always battled with. I know that Brian hasn't really done too much in that area, but I know that a lot of other people, especially other women, deal with anxiety and depression. And I just want to give you some encouragement that not only are you not alone, but there are a bunch of different ways to handle it. And sometimes you just got to have someone else tell you how they handled it, and how maybe you can try to give that to God and allow him to take that worry from you. But it's gonna be different, because I always knew I needed to give him my worry, but I didn't actually do it until I could feel okay with the fact that doing what was asked of me and doing good enough was okay for God, and that he was okay with taking the rest on. Because I always felt like I don't want to be that lazy person who doesn't try hard enough. Like, I can do this. I can fix this. And I feel like a lot of the times I felt lazy, and that's why I didn't give it to God. And I know, Brian, you felt that way too when you haven't given things to God. So yeah, God has been showing up so much lately, relieving me of that worry, of that anxiety. When I start feeling that again, I instantly realize it's a trigger for me to realize that I need to hand it to God. And there truly isn't anything that is so big and so consuming that I need to get all flustered about that, because God keeps showing up. So I encourage you to rely on him and try it out and say, God, I'm giving this to you. You got to take this. Give me some peace. That's all I want right now. So I love you guys, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow.